walls, we used to sell 800, 900 papers a week.
Was that a natural?
Yes, we would do that. And we, of course, set up other activities, the men's days and etc. Into the Fridays. The more we learned, the more we implemented for the community. One of the greatest recollections I have is in this situation. They had showers, open showers, and there was gunk. You know what I mean by gunk? Is filth from splashing off the body, off the wall, maybe 1.5 inches or 2 inches thick. And they were talking about condemning that building that the people were in. Now at this time, mind you, the community is grown now it's grown to about 90 brothers, okay? It's about 90 Muslims in there. And they were saying, well, we're going to have to condemn this building. So we asked the administration to give us some paint and some tools and some brushes. And they did, but they had to count them, gave us scrapers, we scraped gum, did patchwork, Muslims did, and painted the entire floor we did it in one night. And in one night, the next day, they sent the news media in to report this miraculous achievement on the transit building floor, where a building that was condemned, was about to be condemned, now it's been refurbished by the inmates. And the picture that they showed on television was the one of Imam Wali Shaheed, because of when they asked questions, somebody had Muhammad's face. It had the one, I was born for the mission. Like we was like, we were so proud, that this achievement, brought a level of appreciation for the Muslim community, and many other accounts that we could speak on.
And you would at that point, were you an administrator? Did you all establish the mosque there, the masjid?
Well, again, community life almost was established, but what we had to do was we had to make the community model adopt to the format established under the leadership of Imam Wali Shaheed, because many of the brothers they accepted Islam in the Nation of Islam. They knew what benefits being in the Nation of Islam had brought to them, and they were not just willing to just say, okay, well, we're not going to say the white man. We change the language, we change the format. Instead of having bodyguards around ministers in the Nation of Islam, we followed the lead of Imam Wali Shaheed. He said he was going to be able to be free, and he was going to walk, and so we told him I could walk by myself.
So would you say that at this point in time, that experience was the greatest, one of the greatest impacts in your life, if not the greatest impact of your life?
Well, I say that it gave me the greatest opportunity to really get firmly rooted in Islam. Otherwise, I would, my life outside of that, I would never stop. I've never stopped to seriously study and really understand Islam. But hitting this train wreck made me hit a wall that gave me all the time I needed and the space I needed to really get solidly based in Islam. We used to carry, at any time I may have 15 papers, a Quran and a book. All of it's about, we were about trying to memorize language and concepts and ideas. You were never out of the mode where you was trying to tell somebody about Islam. God's included. We had many of them to convert.
Now tell us about your transition from the life of the Nation of Islam into the world community of Al-Islam under the leadership of Imam Wali Shaheed.
That transition started actually at that point. I had to again beg Almighty God. I was impressed with one brother. He had been memorizing Message to the Black Man in America. We thought that was a phenomenal feat. It was like he was Hafiz's Message to the Black Man in America. And so when Imam Wali Shaheed began to teach, I said to myself, I don't know anything. I don't know nothing. Because he said, well, you have to give away, give up these teachings here and pick up the Quran and the Sunnah. So it's like everything you had taken, you wiped it clean, and now you putting the language that he was giving you back on your mind. So really trying to have the same kind of seriousness about the message that Imam Wali Shaheed Muhammad brought that I had about the Nation of Islam doctrine is what helped shape me mentally and psychologically for the changes that came later in the community life. And then it became very easy. I mean, the Imam, all we had to do was watch him. If we watched him, life going to be easy. He left us an excellent pattern, and his excellence was getting us to really see the Quran in the right light and seeing Muhammad ibn Abdullah in the right light.
You, once you committed to the leadership of Imam Wali Muhammad and to the transition from the Nation of Islam to the world community of Islam, you decided to travel all over the country following Imam Wali Muhammad's teaching.
Yes.
Tell us what that experience was like. I mean, how did you just, for some people it's difficult to think of a man just dropping things, just traveling from one point to the other. I mean, many of us did it, but some people may see this DVD or video, they may not understand what that was like.
Well, I had never had an opportunity to see the Honorable Elijah Muhammad in person, and I always thought that would have been a very inspiring thing to do. When I came back here, the first thing that I did, we went to Atlanta, and it was as simple as, this is what I'm supposed to be about. We are talking about building community. We're talking establishing a community life for ourselves. I wanted to be a supporter of a work that I thought was a very important work, not only for myself, but for the whole community. And I have to admit, I entered into the Nation of Islam. Blackness is what got me into the Nation of Islam. But I thought about the skin color. I'm a black man, etc., etc. But under the teachings of Imam Wali Shaheed, we evolved out of black consciousness and color consciousness to see humanity in this same way. So I saw every trip, every excursion, every part of the work that we did, if it was passing a flyer, making a journal, the difficulties and trials and trying to get somewhere to help support. I saw that as supporting and building the community life. And I have I don't think I missed a convention in 30 plus years. I don't remember doing that. And if the Imam was in earshot, we wanted to hear them. We wanted to hear him because we thought that the message that he was bringing was a message that was going to improve and elevate our life, and we were going to be able to take that message that he was giving and do something in our community. We can do it in our family life, we can do it in our community life.
And you also attended the Ramadan session. Did you miss one of those?
Not after you open them up for the broader community. Yeah, that was quite an experience. And the Imam himself, he always stated that during the month of Ramadan, he felt as if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was always blessing him with something increased. It was expanding in essence. So when you attended the Ramadan sessions, you always got something that was a jewel that you could use in your everyday life. I went to one Ramadan session, and the Imam he taught on stoning. He taught on stoning. He taught on stoning. He got very detailed and made all the references, and then he ended by letting us know that stoning is not an Islamic principle. He made the Quranic reference, and then he made the reference from Hadith, and then he made some life experiences out of the Seerah of the Prophet that emphasized that. I was at the prison at that time. Went in a couple of weeks after then. There was at that time a young lady who had been impregnated by. She was in Nigeria. This is almost recent history, maybe in the past 7 or 8 years. And they were saying that they wanted to stone her to death because she had had an adulterous affair, and they was going to make the man who was guilty of impregnating her feed the baby 2 years. So we addressed that as a concern in Jama'ah. And one of the inmate imams, he came after Salatul Jama'ah, and he had ran back, and he had gotten all the Qur'ans and all the Hadith books. And he came in and he threw them on the Musalla floor. And it made me reminiscent of how Moses, said, well, you want to throw first or me throw first? And he threw it all down. So he was wanting to make the point that stoning was Islam, that it was in the Quran. And he had a Quran, and in the Quran he had, there's some parenthetical references in the Quran. Sometimes it's so, then stoning. It had one, and so he took that parenthetical reference to be literal language pertaining to the Quran, and he wanted to make a point. So he had a brother in the community who was from overseas, he spoke Arabic very good, and he told him, he said, read it. He said, tell him. But I had already did my research before. I had asked several people before. I didn't know then what's the word for stoning. I had to find out what's the word for stoning. Then I go to the ayah to see that is the word for stoning in this ayah. The word is not there. He got the guy to read this ayah, and the guy was sweating, because he wanted to support his imam, but it wasn't there. And the imam was on edge because he wanted to be able to say now. But the guy had to tell him he's not there. He's not there. And so, of course, he ended up arguing, and then that's when I think he was able he got some benefit then, because he was aware then that those parenthetical references are not really part of what's really in the Quran. So I said, well, thanks to Allah and thanks to Imam Wali Shaheed for giving us that. And not only is that's not a small thing, that really addresses a mindset in the world that exists today will allow un-Islamic practices to be conducted as if they were an Islamic principle that need to be addressed.
Let me ask you this question. Obviously, we see some continuity in your life from a young man to now, and a relentless effort in your dawah effort. Is that why this continuity, is that the reason why you dedicated your life to this community here? You've not let up, so to speak. You've just been consistent, you've been on it for years and decades.
Well, here's one thing.
Basically, what we would like to know is, where is this philosophy coming from that makes you do what you do in this community?
I can only say that for the practice of Islam, it's nature now. It's not. It's as if now I'm finally doing what is naturally the best for me to do. So our community life here, I think our community life here is a community life that has really evolved in a very natural way. And all of us were young men in our 20s coming here, and we were trying to dedicate our life to something that we believed in, and we wanted to support, we wanted it to be successful. We don't feel that there's anything better. If there were anything better than Islam, I would go to it, but it's not. I would go to it.
I was just informed by our producer that we have 10 minutes, now 9 minutes. Okay. We have so many questions to ask you. Okay,